Hey everybody, today we are going back to our mixing series and we're going to be looking at getting all of our risers sat in the mix to work alongside all of the other sounds that we've got. So in the same kind of fashion as how we approached everything else, we'll turn the channel on and then we'll systematically start going through all of the sounds and bringing them up in level. And, you know, closing our eyes, trusting our ears, and following where that takes us. But if you want to have a listen so far to what we've got before we get into touching everything else, we'll just have a quick listen through and then we'll start bringing things up in volume. Let's have a go. Great, so that was what we've got so far, and we're not saying that that's a perfect mix. We're saying that so far we're just trying to get everything balanced and set out in a controlled sort of manner, and then we'll go in and we'll make the adjustments where it's necessary to get everything sitting proper and tight. I was noticing some of the leads there don't really cut through that well. The bass to me sounds a bit sort of undefined. So yeah, we'll get into fixing that sort of stuff up as we go on. We'll get this in the mix though. So what have we got here? We've got something that looks like it's an Atmos splash effect, and I can see that it's being triggered here, but it looks quite quiet. So we'll solo that and just play it and see how it sounds. So. Okay, so there's a click there. Some of the audio is left over, so what we'll do is we'll just pull that away so we don't get that. So this is what we're focused on, so let's have a listen. All right, so let's have a listen to the rest of it and see where this is going to fit in. So if we pull it down a little bit, that might be a bit loud. Let's just sort of put it at 0 for now and see how it goes. All right, so it's quite loud. We'll pull it down a bit and we'll see how we go. Let's say -10. Okay, so it's pretty gently in the background now. That's something that we're going to revisit. We don't really know exactly how loud to set that effect right now because I don't know how obvious I want it to be. So we need further context of all of the other sounds. And once we've got everything in the mix again, that's when we can say, oh shit, okay, I'm actually not hearing that at all. We need to either EQ it, compress it, change the level of it, whatever else, spread it so that you can hear it more in the stereo. We'll approach it. So let's have a listen to this vocal swell. Now that's likely to be coupled with something like a cymbal, which is right here. So if we bring that up, we can mix them sort of in combination with each other. That level seems fairly good to me. Let's bring it up, see whether it overwhelms. We'll bring it down, see whether it's underwhelming. We'll get an idea. Yeah, that's definitely too loud. If we bring it down quieter than what we had before, we'll see whether that's too quiet, right? We'll put it in like -19. So it's there. We'll bring it back up again and see what we think. Okay, I'm going to just bring it down a little bit and I'm going to sit it there. I think halfway between what we had is good. Now, if we want to get context of this again, we can turn it off and play it with it out. Then add it back. I want this to be a fairly gentle texture. I don't want it to overwhelm anything too much, so I'll bring it down, just down a little bit. I just want it to be in the background, you know? Right, so we've got this effect here. Let's bring it to like -5 and we'll have a listen to this part. Now, the sort of semi-unfortunate part of this tutorial is that I've actually panned a lot of stuff already. So like automatically I'd be like, oh, yep, let's pan this, right? So it is already panned. It goes like right, left, as that kick, and it's right on top of the kick drum, right? So have a listen to it. You'll notice it moving. And then as the last part plays, it's right in the center, right? So, and that sounds, you know, it sounds good to me. It sounds like it works. Let's have a listen and see whether we can hear low frequencies in it that we don't want. It sounds really well EQ'd to me. I may pull out some brightness. I may dull it. Who knows? But we'll make those adjustments in the context of the entire mix. So a lot of the EQing, if we do a lot of EQing, will be done in context of the entire mix. It has to be. It has to be relevant to everything. So now we've got reverse cymbals, right? So we've got one here. So let's have a listen to it and see what we think. Cool, yep, that's working well at that volume. What else have we got here? Now, I'm not hearing anything that I really need to desperately EQ right at this point in time. Here we've got a reverse kick. Now, this one's going to be interesting to sit in the mix. Let's have a go. Right, so that seems natural to me there. What I want to do with this one though is I want to have a good look at it. Ignore that limiter. You're not supposed to see that limiter. That limiter serves a purpose, but not for the context of the mix. So don't put a limiter on your master when you're doing this. For the approach that I teach, like other teachers may tell you to use a limiter. There's many different methods for this sort of thing. It's there just to boost the overall volume so that you guys can hear it at home because I've got it at a fairly low volume, right? So I need to turn it back on. And what was I doing? I was going to look at a span. No, LFO tool. Right. So now I didn't say that I was going to use this, but it's a great tool. It's not free, but it's really good. So I just want to use this as an oscilloscope. Cool. What I'm looking at there is I'm just looking at and making sure that this actually isn't louder volume than that first kick, right? Because we don't want the reverse kick to be louder than the actual kick. Because the kick's the loudest thing in the mix. That's what we need to maintain. So here we've got some sort of rising effect. It's just a little bit loud. Let's bring it down. That's too loud for me. Okay, so my ears right now, that's all sounding pretty damn nice. Just had a look at it on span. Don't see any ugly low frequencies coming through. So at this point in time, that to me is all good. Now, the cymbal, let's have a listen. It's already got reverb on it. Again, it's a bit of a shame that I've kind of already done these sorts of effects. In the future, I think I'll definitely be using a project that's drier. And I don't really like putting delay on my cymbals. I think it's just better if it's just a clean sort of cymbal hit, wash it out with a bit of reverb, and that's it, done. Same goes for a lot of this. I mean, I don't need to do much processing on this. I think I will definitely EQ that riser, but that's something that I'm going to do in the context of the greater mix. So for this particular episode, I mean, that's all done. The next thing that we're going to do is we're going to go through everything and we're going to make sure that we've got everything sitting in the mix nicely in relation to EQ, and we're also going to be asking the question whether we need to be using compressors, right? We're going to be asking, do I need to compress the sound? Is it giving me what I want? Is it coming out at me correctly? So then once we've done all of that individual processing and we're just getting the overall mix absolutely balanced, once we've got that set, then we're going to do I'm probably going to redo the bass at that point, get the bass sounding really fat and thick and have it thwack through. The kick, very happy with the kick. The kick's all good. But yeah, the bass I'm going to probably do a bit of work on. And then once that's done, I'm going to do bus processing. So that's processing over all of the channels, right? And what I'm going to be doing there with the kick and bass, I'm going to be adding to the click, and I'm going to be adding to the mid-range and the sort of upper frequencies of the bass in order to really pull them out and make sure that they cut through well. So that'll be some overall bus processing. With the drums, I will be essentially, I've done a little bit here already. What I'll be doing is I can do some overall EQing just to balance out the individual EQing that I do as well. And then if I need to compress or limit it in order to get it less dynamic so that it actually can sit at an appropriate volume along with the kick and bass and not be spiking, really inappropriately, I'll do that. So that may involve me using Ableton's limiter and kind of pushing it into the limiter a little bit in order to get that limiter to kind of like compress the signal. And we'll try a bunch of different methods. I mean, compression of a signal can be done with a compressor or a limiter. It can be done by automating volume, essentially. So there's a few different methods that we can try and harness and get the best out of. With the leads, I'm definitely going to be doing some overall processing, and I think that you'll find that very interesting. So because that's my music is fairly lead centric, so I like my leads to be quite prominent and interesting to listen to. So we'll do that. The effects will be pretty straightforward. They're fairly easy sounds to get sitting right. And yeah, same with the risers. So that's the plan of attack, right? So let's go ahead and leave it there for this episode. It was a fairly simple one, I understand, but it's still just reinforcing the way that I approach it. It's reinforcing the idea of like just really getting an idea of how it sounds to your ear. If it's too overwhelming, if it's too underwhelming, what if I turn it up really loud? Oh, yep, that's clearly too loud. What if I pull it down really quiet? All right, yeah, I know that's too quiet. So, there's a middle ground that you can meet. It's just an approach. And it's my approach that I've learned from watching lots of other mix tutorials and learning from other people and sort of figuring out what I think the best approach is for a clinical approach to a mix. And this is a calculated approach to a mix. So thank you very much for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Keep creative, keep producing, keep motivated, and keep inspired, and stay positive.